Good morning. Honored guests, members of the Medford Fire Department, and friends and families of those we remember this morning. I'd like to begin by thanking the Medford Professional Firefighters Local 1032 for the honor and privilege of speaking before you all today. I'd like to specifically thank Lieutenant Brian Cronin for inviting me to speak. Brian's been instrumental in regard to making this day happen for many years. Lieutenant Cronin serves his brothers and sisters of Local 1032 and the citizens of Medford with dedication and professionalism. Thank you, Brian. I'd like to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Tim Beckwith. I retired Lieutenant and EMT with the Medford Fire Department. I was raised in Medford by Louis and Dorothy Beckwith. My father served as pastor of the First Baptist Church on Oakland Street, and my mother a bank teller at Medford Savings Bank. I'm very grateful to be able to say to you today that she's with us today, enjoying her 92nd year in life. Prior to moving to Medford, we lived in Waltham, where my dad was pastor of the First Baptist Church, while also serving as chaplain to the Waltham Fire Department. My Uncle Fred Beckwith served the Melrose Fire Department for 32 years. My wife Beth and I raised our two children, Ashley and Lewis, right here in West Medford. It was sometime during 1981, a friend was signing up for the firefighter's exam. He encouraged me to do the same. At the time, I was uncertain as to where my life would take me, and as fate would have it, I landed in the job I believe I was made to do. I was a member of the Medford Fire Department for 31 years, retiring June of this last year. I served the majority of my career as a lieutenant at Engine 2 in West Medford, and I had the privilege of serving my friends, neighbors, and family. I took great pride in my place in the community. My career began June of 1983 at the age of 24, excited but naive as to what was ahead of me. No one can really understand what it's like to serve in this unique profession until you have put your time in. We're trained quite well in the fire sciences and emergency medicine. It's very difficult to prepare for the difficult human experiences you will be involved with, like it or not. As a nervous recruit trying hard to remember details of my technical training, I learned firsthand that compassion would be one of the most important tools in the box. You learn very early to respect the skilled experience that the senior firefighters bring to the moment. I recall as a rookie being really struck by the level of intimacy that the seasoned veteran would have with perfect strangers at emergency scenes. Whether it's the tragic loss a family may have at a house fire, the fear and pain of a sudden auto accident or medical emergency, or shock and deep grief of a family member's death, fire service personnel are on the front lines of these everyday human experiences and very personal tragedies. The emotions of the moment are not ignored. In my 31 years career, I have witnessed many courageous acts. But as important, I have witnessed many great acts of tenderness, kindness, and compassion. Over and over again, I have witnessed fire personnel going above and beyond the call of duty to comfort and care for those in need. There are many things about this career that make it quite unique. 24-hour shifts, holidays spent together with coworkers, and the unique stresses that you experience together. These experiences and more lead to building very strong relationships with your coworkers. I would say as strong as family. The closeness of these relationships is what make our good times so good. I believe it's what make our losses so powerful. Just as the senior firefighter guides the rookie through the tough fire or medical emergency, I now realize they always knew the importance of this moment we share today. You cannot see what we see on a daily basis and not be changed by it. We have all experienced that difficult, heartbreaking call when it's over, you find yourself hugging your loved ones a little more than usual. You assist a homeless person, making you appreciate the things you have a little more. You've just opened a hand line inside someone's home, hurling hundreds of gallons a minute at flames that engulf someone's precious world. When you see the families' faces on the sidewalk across the street, compassion is what they need. Compassion they get. We have all experienced what we call in the trade the frequent flyer. You've responded to this person's home so many times, you know where the key is hidden. You know exactly where every light switch is, and you have the sister's phone number on speed dial in your cell phone. You know what cabinet the peanut butter is in because the patient will need a sandwich after they get their intravenous glucose to raise their blood sugar. This will teach you something about trust and responsibility. You've helped an elderly person off the floor back into bed so many times that you've lost count. The firefighter pulling the covers up and turning the bedroom lights out has learned something about loving your fellow man with respect and caring. When you are the one that tells an elder that they really should not be living on their own anymore, and then carry them from their home knowing they are seeing it for the last time, you learn to do this with a measure of tenderness. An unavoidable part of this job is that you will be present when many people take their last breath. A pioneer in the integration of emergency medicine in the fire service was Chief James O. Page, a battalion chief and longtime paramedic with the Los Angeles Fire Department. He sums up this experience with this quote: "No one's death comes to pass without making some impression. And those close to the deceased inherit part of the liberated soul, and thus become richer in their humanness." We know this career will not make us financially wealthy. What I now appreciate and respect more than ever is the wealth of humanness we as a group of brothers and sisters have. These moments and more give us the skills that this moment we share today require. To the families and friends of our recently departed brothers and sisters, we are here to say we share the pain and sorrow of your loss, and we honor their service. We are grateful for their companionship. We are grateful to the families for the sacrifices we know they made as a family because of this challenging career. Be sure that our brothers Arthur, Dan, and Tim knew that whether from old, worn-down, tired bodies or sudden tragedy, we would be here for them and their loved ones today. This gave them comfort, as it does for me. My brothers and sisters in the fire service know that we will stand here year after year and care for our own. I've been involved in many fire service funerals during my career. I must say, firefighters do this very well. The most striking example of this is the incredible job the City of New York firefighters did when they had to bury 343 of their own after 9/11. One of the most moving moments in my life was marching in deafening silence through the streets of Worcester, Mass, to the memorial service for 9 fallen brothers. To this day, I get chills and hold back tears when I hear Amazing Grace on the bagpipes, after hearing this haunting serenade played inside the Worcester Centrum along with many thousands of my brothers and sisters. A little more than a year ago, more than 20,000 of my brothers and sisters in the fire service from around the world were attending the funerals for Boston Fire Department Lieutenant Eddie Walsh and Mike Kennedy after the nightmare that was the Beacon Street fire. At Lieutenant Walsh's funeral, I stood at attention saluting as the limousine with the Walsh family drove by. I could see his young son looking out the window, dressed in his firefighter's gear. He was smiling and waving at the thousands standing in reverent honor of his fallen father. He felt our compassion at work. At Mike Kennedy's funeral in West Roxbury during the Mass, I found myself standing in front of the church, listening to the service along with thousands of others on the loudspeaker system. It was an amazing scene I will never forget. A beautiful day. The church was in a large open space in West Roxbury, and as far as you could see in both directions from in front of the church, a sea of dressed, blue, uniformed emergency services personnel. Suddenly, I noticed this sea of blue parting. It was a group of about 50 young Fire Academy recruits. They were in perfect formation, dressed in their torn, dirty, scorched turnout gear. Their veteran Fire Academy instructors were marching them to their positions at the end of the line of thousands of mourners miles away. I found myself very moved by that moment. That parade of individuals being guided through this very powerful moment by their veteran instructors. Not yet firefighters, they had no idea what was in front of them in their careers. I felt the anxiousness of their lack of experience on parade in front of me. But more importantly, I could feel the confidence of the wealth of experienced humanness around me. The 20,000 firefighters around me were showing them the most important tool in the box. The tears started to flow down my face. I had just days before made the decision to end my 31-year career. These young men and women had so much in front of them. I wondered, would I attend one of their funerals before my own? As the firefighter's prayer says, if one of them should be dealt that card, I, along with scores of others from near and far, would care for that moment. Because it's what we do for our own, and we do it well. I'd like to end today by sharing another moment with you. The man that was my superior officer for many years, Deputy Chief Gerald Irving, was working his last shift before retirement. He called his crew together to say goodbye. I found it very moving that that senior firefighter chose to end his career by sharing this poem with his crew. It is with his blessing that I will share it with you today. The following words are by an unknown author. There happens in this world a strange and social convention, a friendship that transcends all conventions and knows no rules. It is the brotherhood of firefighters. There is not an intimacy more reckless or profound than the bond between one firefighter and another. There is not a shadow of a barrier between them, neither age, nor background, nor nationality, nor color of skin. There's a blunt, rough affection. It almost forgets to be polite. They can sit at one another's table without invitation, borrow money, clothes, possessions without security. Firefighters can neither edify or scandalize one another. They quarrel without offense, praise without flattery, or sit silently and say nothing. How and why this can happen is their own precious secret. It is the secret of men and women who climb a lonely drawbridge, mount a narrow stair, and sleep in a city citadel, always companion to one another with a strange sympathy, too tender to be called friendship, too sturdy to be called love, but which God will find a name for as he searches their hearts and then rewards them. Ladies and gentlemen, today you have the heart and soul of Medford on parade. I'm grateful to the fire service for the life lessons I have learned in my 31 years of service. I stand before you today humbled and grateful for the opportunity to once again stand with my brothers and sisters and to be able to call such a fine group of humanity my family. Thank you for listening.